welcome everybody to another little episode, emphasis on little, of our fantastic short story society, so-called. Even though we don't have a guest, we do have a special little viewing that we're going to do, and it's all in, I almost said memoriam, but I don't think that's going to make sense. In memory of Scott's memories of it as a child. Even though I loved Ghostbusters when I was little, sure. But what did it mean to you? It was like, this is your movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in some ways it was the first inkling of like, ooh, this stuff is cool. You can have somebody like Bill Murray, who was, insanely popular at the time, because even though I was a little kid, I was watching stuff like Caddyshack and Beverly Hills Cop and that era of comedy. Even though they were R-rated, I was an HBO kid. But then a movie about ghosts comes out, and it's with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and some of these great comedy guys that I had seen on TV. And it was just such an adventure. I guess it was very different than anything else that I had ever seen at that time.
Yeah. I think the irony for me is that it fits my personality with scary movies so well, because Ghostbusters, the original one, it is scary and suspenseful, but also really funny.
Yeah.
And so I have to laugh my way through the spooky parts. Even though some of the scary parts are a little cheesy and they're, it's not meant to be, Exorcist or anything.
Yeah.
But there was still some kind of spooky parts. That part in the library where Dan Aykroyd, he's trying to go talk to the librarian. And that was a scary moment. And so I think that's one reason why I loved it. I didn't realize then that was how I'm going to be reacting in the future to scary movies. It wasn't something that had a hard effect on me as a kid. It was just a really fun movie to watch.
Oh yeah, no, I can't imagine how many times I watched that movie as a kid growing up, and then not so much when you're older. Do you actually sit down and watch the whole thing? But cruising through TV, it's on in October. Like, okay, I'll hang out for a bit before moving on. And
yeah,
it's the great thing. One of the great things of many is that it still holds up. It's still a fun movie to watch.
It still so holds up. Even some of the special effects, like that woman in the library is like, wow, that is really good.
Yeah.
But now since what was the year it was released? Like 85?
Yeah, I think so.
85 was the original. So it's been 40 years. Almost 40 years.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And it had been a really long time until any Ghostbuster movie had been released. And then the newest was with all female cast.
Sure, yeah.
Which I really enjoyed, but it was a little just too similar to the first one. Like,
yeah.
It was a little like, I don't want to use the word knockoff because it was still really fun, but it felt too similar.
I enjoy that movie more than a lot of people do. People really love to just hate on it. I think a lot of people that hate on it haven't seen it. Quite frankly, it's a punching bag. But I really actually enjoyed that movie for what it was. I have my issues with it too, of course, but I felt like they felt the need to do a whole bunch of fan service. That was the first time in
that's true
so many years. Okay, let's do a bunch of stuff that is just getting in the way of us telling a good story. And then because they had plans for all of these sequels, and I was really excited to see where that was going to go.
I didn't know they had plans for a whole bunch of sequels.
Yeah, they had a whole Ghostbuster world that was going to be coming out, like a MCU kind of a thing.
Oh.
And then of course it performed so poorly at the box office that all of that got canceled immediately.
That's too bad, because you're right. It was a really fun movie, and you can't miss with that cast. And I mean, I could watch Kristen Wiig just sit on the couch and stare, and I'd laugh.
Right. and there were some good scares in that one. Again, at the very beginning, it opens up with Zach Woods from Silicon Valley. He's like a docent at a museum, and there's a really scary scene in that opening of that movie as well. So, I mean, you could say that that's very similar to the library scene in the original one, but still, they didn't soften it so much that there weren't any creepy things, that it was just all going to be goofy.
You gotta wonder if they're going to somehow combine the all-female cast Ghostbusters with the all-male cast Ghostbusters and have this combination movie or something in the future. That'd be fun.
It would be neat, even if there was just a cameo, because Dan Aykroyd's original plan for the original Ghostbusters was that they were going to go into a different dimension, and that was stuff that was way too big for the budgets back in those days,
and probably too far out there.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think he went down a lot of rabbit holes when he was writing that one. But it would be fun if there was some interdimensional travel, and then here's a dimension where the Ghostbusters are women. That'd be kind of funny too.
Yeah. Well then, okay. So the most recent Ghostbusters, with the kids. I thought was really fun.
I think that's Afterlife.
Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
And I was really excited about it. When I watched it, I remember by the end, I was like, yeah, it was fun. It was like a weird disappointment because I still really enjoyed it. But I guess because of the expectations I had built up so much that I guess I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, but I still really enjoyed it. So I don't know. It was a weird, I don't really remember it all that well. I mean, it's been a little while, but I don't know. I mean, did you like it?
I saw it in theaters. I think it was my first like post-COVID movie. And it was, I really enjoyed it. I only seen it that one time. I have to rewatch it because it, like you said, it's been a bit. But yeah, I feel like I really enjoyed how they made it homey feeling. It was quieter. It was a smaller movie. There was more of that kind of Goonies level discovery.
Yeah, Stranger Things way about it. I mean, obviously the kid from is in Stranger Things, but
but I did like this continuation of the story, and it really does feel like this story is the continuation of the original Ghostbusters, as opposed to 2016. I think it was 2016 was when the Kristen Wiig's Ghostbusters came out, where that was just trying to erase the previous stuff and start anew, which I didn't like that. That was my biggest gripe, I think.
Yes. Right. So I've seen a few teaser trailers for this new one.
Yeah, we're going to look at it. I think it's a full 2 minutes here.
I've already laughed plenty at the new or at the teasers. I have not seen the new one. So we all are going to watch this together. And we would love to know what you think, if you're excited about this, if you're not looking forward to something, if there's something in the trailer you think is stupid, whatever. Share your opinion. I'm excited to watch it.
Okay, here we go.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right, well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
Better question is, what's inside of it?
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill by fear itself.
Like, literally scared to death?
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Can I be of any help?
Melnitz in uniform. Yes.
If there's something strange, if there's something weird, who are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
Heads up. It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
Nice.
Oh boy, Slimer. Ew.
Yeah.
So much to unpack. Most trailers, they just give it away.
Yeah,
It's had so many great callbacks to it where it's like, if I was in a movie theater but watching that trailer before a movie, I would have been totally stoked and excited. Like, oh my God,
true.
this is so great.
It's like a hype film.
Yes, it was.
There's, I think, I don't know. There's that element of, are they doing too much nostalgia-based stuff? The flashbacks at the beginning, but I don't know. Maybe they find the right amount there. It seemed to hit the right tone for me.
I'm assuming they're doing that just for the trailer, just to have that good old nostalgic feeling. I can't imagine they're going to do that in the movie. That, you know,
I think we are getting back to, and again, as we talked about, Dan Aykroyd being just the big time paranormal geek that he is. Him getting into what was it? It was Tobin's Spirit Guide back in the day, but he's obviously still reading those kinds of things, those ancient texts. That's pretty cool.
I get the feeling that he's getting his way a little bit more in terms of the story, maybe like the actual core plot. It felt like an Aykroyd-y kind of, you know, something bigger than just. Although I don't know how much bigger and weirder can you get than Gozar, you know.
Oh, the Gozerian, yes.
Yeah, right. And then the villain, the bad ghost, reminds me of, for you magic card players out there, of a card called Sheoldred, the Apocalypse.
Okay. We were already pushing the top of geekiness with this, even when we started this. But wow, I was thinking Pan's Labyrinth. I was thinking those types of creatures from Guillermo del Toro movies. But
no, this is Matt. I'm going full geek here.
So what does this one do? And can we learn from this character in Magic what might happen in Ghostbusters?
It's a life giver, life taker kind of card. The image looked exactly the same.
Okay.
Like the picture on the card, and that I don't know if that, I could do a little research to see if that, you know, who is the villain in this movie. But I love the droid.
Yes,
trap.
The drone. Yes,
the drone droid. Well, droid.
I can't believe with all of the gadgets, and that was always something kind of fun with Ghostbusters. They had their James Bond like moment in every installment, where it's like, okay, here's their newest toy that we're going to play with in this movie. And I don't know why I'd never thought like, oh yeah, there should be a flying trap because these ghosts are flying around that they're trying to trap. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, there were some cheesy parts of the trailer, like let's go and suit up now, and they had some of those really obvious moments, but I hope they smooth that out. There were some funnier moments in other teaser trailers, like Paul Rudd had a moment or two in this one that was funny. But the way they edited the previous trailer, where it was Paul Rudd and two of the kids standing up on like top of a wall looking down into this dark, scary city, and then this huge, you know, scary, I don't know, ghost or force or something's coming down the highway, and there's this moment of pause, and he just laughing. He just goes, oh, and that's exactly the feeling that you get when you'd see that kind of thing.
Sure. It's the tough thing with a great comedy actor who's just like legitimately funny, not just funny because of the page, which is who Paul Rudd is. I mean, he's just a very, very funny person, and there's got to be breathing room for him to be funny and not just written on the page. Yeah. And it's tough to do when there's a very plotty movie, when there's a lot going on. I hope they don't try to force his comedy too much. And a lot of stuff can happen in editing too, to ruin a joke.
And there are a lot of characters in this movie. How many people? I mean, all the old Ghostbusters.
All of them. And Annie Potts. I love seeing her.
Totally. And God, she looked like she hasn't aged a day.
Yeah.
But then you have all the kids. And then I'm assuming it's Paul Rudd's wife. And she was dressed in a Ghostbuster outfit. And so how many people were you going to have busting ghosts here?
Yeah, I think that the woman that you're talking about was within the story Egon's daughter, and who is the mom of the kids.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But they are love interests in the Afterlife. But yeah, you're right. There's definitely a lot of characters. There's a lot going on. I mean, we see Slimer back.
And they went old school with the way that Slimer looked.
And we were talking about it. The library ghost seems to be back and looked and moved just like the old days. It wasn't like George Lucas went in and updated everything. Like, oh no, it's still locked in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't evolve. We know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And let that continue to be as it was. I love that decision that they made. Did you notice who it was that was kind of berating the team of Ghostbusters?
He was the guy that pulled the switch down in the basement of the original. Yeah.
Walter Peck, the EPA guy.
Yes.
I wonder if he's still with the EPA or if he is ascended to higher office by this point.
Right. He was also the total asshole professor or somebody in Real Genius. Do you remember the movie Real Genius?
Yeah, that's been on my watch list forever. I haven't seen that yet.
He was the asshole in every 80s movie for about the whole decade.
Well, he's bringing his jerkiness to a whole new millennia.
Right. There's a lot to like. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to watch it. I get motion sickness in movie theaters, and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely. This one comes out, I think, just in a couple of weeks at the end of March.
So it's coming out on March 22nd. That's exciting. I'm going to have to drive up to Madison and see you and Wendy and watch it.
That would be great.
I'm going to have to bring some Dramamine and shit.
Well, it's okay. You'll still be hungover from St. Patrick's Day the week before. So
Sure.
if you do it right.
You do it right.
I guess my one fear for future Ghostbuster movies, which is the same thing that I think a lot of comic book movies, that's why this fatigue happened. Well, one, they made way too much. But two, they were constantly saving the world. And when the stakes are at that level every time, how often can you save the world? And this definitely feels like a save the world kind of a scenario that we're seeing in this trailer.
That's true. How much worse can you get than this big bad horn dude with a ghost army?
And we're talking about another ice age happening.
Yeah.
And freezing the earth.
True.
It's good. And, you know, the other ones were also really, but the earlier ones, I should say, were also, you know, large scale evil is taking over. But it would be fun to see them kind of go backwards with it in future installments.
There's no shortage of ancient mythology monsters, though, to pull from. So.
Oh, right. I'm very excited that it took so long for there to be a Ghostbusters movie at all after part 2.
Right.
And that is, I think, something else I loved about 2016 is that even if it wasn't a big success, it got the name, got the brand out there. It got a whole new generation of kids interested.
It was so exciting to see all the little girls on the red carpet loving the actors, and I mean, no, I'm all in. I don't, well, even if it sucks, which it's just not going to.
No, not when you have that cast. And Bill Murray, he's very blunt about not doing things that he doesn't think are rewarding for him. So that's part of the reason there hasn't been a Ghostbusters in so long. It took him so long to agree on a script that he liked.
Right.
So if he's in it, it's going to be good. We'll just, if Bill's there, we'll definitely be on opening weekend.
And our next guest on Fantastic Story Society is going to be Bill Murray. I would be so nervous if that. I don't know. I would be terrified.
What would be either your opening question to get the ball rolling, or the one thing that you would definitely want to talk to him or ask him about?
My dad shared a beer with his brother in a tent while they were at Boy Scouts. That's what I would say.
That's a winner.
He was in the same classroom with my aunt, which was the younger sister of my dad. And so, I mean, we have direct ties. He by no means would remember us in any way, shape, or form. But
sure,
we're going to do more of these. We're going to do a lot more, especially because we're going to be sharing them with the International Screenwriters Association, trying to get that community interested in watching trailers for upcoming movies. There's a lot you can learn from a trailer. For those of you in the screenwriting community, you can see everything in that trailer is going to be kind of like the core second act stuff. They're never going to show any kind of low point. They're probably never going to show any major climax or resolution. They're going to show all the setups and then some little things from the early part of the second act. It happens in every single movie trailer you're ever going to watch, so just pay attention. But anyway, we're geeks about this stuff, and we could talk about it forever.